Chabad has become one of the largest Jewish organizations in the world.
How do you say it?
Chabad, not Habab.
Habab?
It's not a rodeo. Chabad.
Days after Katrina hit, Chabad saved lives.
Chabad brings nakas to us all.
Hey everyone, I'm on my way to Houston, Texas, our first stop. Okay, I just arrived at the Aishel House. Let's have a look at it. Let's go look inside. Let's find the rabbi. I'm here with Rabbi Lazaroff. He's going to show us around, and we're going to discover together what is this wonderful place.
Well, Houston is the largest city in Texas. It's the fourth largest city in the United States. There are over 10 Chabad houses around the city of Houston. This one here is based near the medical center. So we have a huge medical center with 15 hospitals, over 10,000 hospital beds, and people come from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean 150,000 people working just in the medical center. So it's a huge, it is one of, there's three economies in the city. One of them is medicine, one of them is space, one of them is oil. Like that's how our city is based on this.
3 days after we moved here, we had a little girl, and she was born quite ill.
We were blessed with the birth of my daughter Hyla, who passed away just short of a year.
And it caught us by surprise, and we spent the next 11 months in and out of Texas Children's Hospital. And that opened our eyes a bit to what people go through when they're going through medical treatment. And at the time we started, we were visiting people in the my wife would take solace in the morning, on a Friday morning, I would go around visiting patients.
While your child is...
Yeah, so because you kind of knew you sort of had a feeling for what people are going through.
Her yard says Gimel Talmud, and I should share with you a WhatsApp I sent to my kids after we went to her cable with my 3 younger children on her yard site. I cannot tell you how much humility and joy I had standing at her table. I have such gratitude to Hashem that He gave me the wisdom to take like the cut that I got and the salt that He put on to make me grow as a person. Here, I said to my husband, I'm not going to help anybody in the medical center. I never experienced any hardship or sorrow. I don't do. I homeschooled on campus. I had a happy childhood. Baruch Hashem, everything went well. I have a good husband. How am I going to, empathize? And he told me, as soon as I climbed out of the anesthesia, he said, okay, hands on training, help God. She's good sense of humor, my husband. She gave us the gift of feeling the shame. There's a lot of shame when people have illness. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. People have shame because people shun you, they don't know what to say to you, so you end up and then once you have a loss, that's on top of that.
So when we were visiting patients here in the hospital, we realized that there were many people who needed a place to stay, and that's the reason why we decided to expand our Chabad House in that direction. To have not only a Chabad House in the shul, and all of the Jewish amenities that a Chabad House typically have, mikveh, shul, the kitchen, the kibbutz room, and all of that, classroom, but also a place where people could stay while they're being treated.
Let's take a moment to thank the sponsors of this video. For the next 9 days, Jewish people don't eat meat or drink wine. But thanks to places like Chanagla, you don't have to go hungry. You can still dine out without eating cheese for 9 days straight. They put up a special 9-day menu which I had the chance to try before I left. From sesame salmon to plant-based meat, they have 36 options to choose from. That's a lot for a 9-day menu. Chanagla is a kosher Chinese restaurant located in the heart of Borough Park. It has a warm ambience and the prices are surprisingly reasonable. Plant-based beef lo mein, $22. You can't really beat that. Stop in anytime during the 9 days and mention that TikTok Rabbi. You'll get a free plate of sushi with any meal of 2.
Well, actually, what started it really was about 8 years earlier.
Oh, okay.
It was 1995, and there was a gentleman, and I don't even remember his name. I do remember he was a lawyer, and he lived somewhere in South Florida, maybe Jupiter or one of those places. And he was living there in Florida, and he came here. He had cancer, and he had been here for a significant amount of time. And I was visiting patients every week. And
we never were in the hospitals before, and she's been here in the hospitals. And once we realized what's happening in the hospitals, we started to make challahs. Send calls around the table. We had little ones, and my husband took a half a day off of work. He was teaching at that time, took a half a day off of work, and he brought challahs to people. And then eventually, we realized people need more than challahs.
I visited him and he said, you know, it's very nice, you're bringing me challahs and we're talking, but you know what I really need? I need a place to stay. He said, I need a place to stay. He said, people think I'm a lawyer, I have a lot of money. You know, you're a lawyer, you bill hours. And I've been staying here for so long, I'm gonna have to sell my home in Florida to be able to survive this. I can't maintain 2 homes. I had nothing to offer him. I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment myself, you know, with 2 kids, and one of my kids wasn't even, with 3 kids at that point. I had nothing to offer him. The next week when I came by and asked him, did you find a place? He said, yeah, Sister Alice found me a place. Maybe I'm in the wrong religion. I called every synagogue in town. They all said they can't help me. I called everybody, and you know, that was it. So that was when I decided I didn't want to ever have that happen again. Kitchen that we serve out of. So this is where we have our dishwashing station, and this is where the meat and the chicken are cooked. So over here, let's say some wings made over here right now. That's the chicken soup. That's all of that. That's all happening back here.
Who cooks it? Your wife cooks everything?
Yes.
Wow, that's
All
incredible.
together with the help of. Well, when people are coming from Israel or from New York or from Florida or from California or from wherever they're coming from, Mexico, we have a lot of people come from Latin America. So they come here to be treated in the medical center, and oftentimes they have to be here for a very long period of time, maybe a month, 2, 3, 4.
They can't stay in the medical center.
Well, I mean, you're not always in the hospital. So what happens if someone's a patient, they're getting a bone marrow transplant, okay? So they're getting treated for cancer, they're getting treated for something else. They're not always inpatient. They might be getting treatment, and then they have to stay in the area so that they can stay in the area so that they can continue to be treated. They have to go to the hospital every day, every other day, once a week, whatever it might be. But then you can stick around in case something happens and you can be somewhere nearby. So what are your choices? Your choices are to rent a hotel room, but regardless, what you're going to have is you're going to have a room, and it's not a living space, it's a bedroom, right? So, and it's going to cost you, nowadays over here, it's going to cost, I don't know, $100, $300 a night. That's unsustainable for a person who's $2 million credit. That's really wealthy.
How are you able to do both, take care of what you were going through and help be there for other people as well?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. On the contrary, I think when a person is going through the realities of life, and sometimes they're difficult, you're given the chance to really be there for others in a way that you might otherwise not have been able to do. And I think it's important whenever someone is going through any kind of challenge to not focus on themselves too much, but to be able to always focus on others, giving to others. That is probably the best therapy that I know can happen.
It's incredible. It's so very special.
To be able to really be there for others, you have to be vulnerable yourself. You can't come there and stand on a mountaintop and talk down to people. You know, you have to be vulnerable yourself. You have to be open to the pain that people are going through. You have to be willing to go into that dark place with them, because that's what people need. They need somebody to be there with them, to hold their hand, to hug them, to be there in the most difficult time, and to cry with them. You know, we've been here, my wife and I have been here now for over 30 years. People ask me, you're not jaded? You don't? The moment it stops bothering me when someone is going through pain, I can no longer be helpful to them. Because being helpful, being emotionally present with them, means that I have to be genuine. I have to be true to myself. I have to be true to Hashem. I have to be true to them.
Did you get burnt out from it?
I think I may be burnt out from both. You'd say I'm so sick and tired of hearing so many sad stories. Like, that makes me really sad.
The Rebbe used to get, what did they say? The Rebbe used to get in those days 700 letters a day. Those letters were not people saying how happy things are in their life. Maybe one or two. The rest were people sharing with the Rebbe their tzaras. If I'm a shliach of the Rebbe, and this is my job, I have to carry the tzaras of the people who come here to my corner of the world. Food up to their rooms, those who can't go down, and then we're also sending to the hospitals.
Oh wow! How many meals would you say on an average week would you prepare?
We may be sending out 250 to 300 meals a week.
Facing these people who are all looking, like, staring back down the alley and thinking, how did I live my life? Why should I just start living life now? Please God, I'll live to 180. You know, my children are the ones who are in awe, because They're growing up in a very selfish world, and the world is telling them otherwise. Are you happy? Did you take time for yourself? I didn't grow up in such a world. I grew up with two parents who were selfless and never thought about themselves. And not in a way that's unhealthy, like a beautiful way.
So we rented a place. We rented an apartment at the time, and I went to a few. These were like older people who were, one or two of them were even Holocaust survivors, like from that generation who owned furniture stores. And I got some used furniture from them, donated. And
I remember that you had a place for some people to stay.
we had, yes. Well, that was by the time you were here. We had the place upstairs from the Chabad House.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
but that was in 1998. Our first place was in that apartment, and we had that for 3 years. Then once we moved out of the apartment upstairs to the Chabad House, we renovated it and upgraded it and used that as the hospitality apartment while we lived in the house next door. There's a family, the seed money for it. Around that time, there was a family from Lakewood who was here with a woman who had cancer, and they asked me why I don't have an apartment. I said, because I don't have the money for it. And so they said they wanted to help sponsor the beginning of
How does it work for them? How do they reach out to you about it?
Well, there are a few ways how it can happen. One is people in the Jewish community are going to find us, if they're observant, then they're going to be looking for some kind of Jewish services around the medical center, and they'll find us through the Jewish networking, or kind of, someone has a friend or people in their community who know what is here because they've been here. And when we started providing the housing for patients and their families, we wanted something that would indicate that that's what it is. It's not the regular kind of a Chabad house.
Yeah.
The name Chabad House was coined in California. That was the first place that they called the place Chabad House, similar to the different frat houses and other kinds of houses around college campuses. Right? Yeah. So that was a Chabad House. So we didn't want this to be called Chabad House. I mean, even though it is a Chabad House as well, and the sign out in the front says Beis Chabad, because it is a Chabad House, but at the same time, when people think of Chabad House, they think of the shul, they think of the classes, they think of the holiday programs.
Think of the rabbi running after them.
Right. And here we wanted people to understand that this is also a hospitality center. So Aishel, of course, is the word used in the Torah when Avram Avinu, Abraham, our forefather, when he Vayita Aishel B'Yisrael, he planted an Aishel, and I say just tell us in the Gemara, in the Talmud, that Vayita Aishel, that it means that he established an inn, and he had an orchard and an inn and a place where people can get spiritual and physical sustenance. And he provided hospitality, and he was also there to provide them with spiritual sustenance and all of that.
Why did you choose a pomegranate tree? It's so unique.
I love pomegranates.
Really?
I love pomegranates. Actually, well, what's the difference between Aishel House and any other housing facility?
Okay.
It's that we continue the kind of work that Avram did. It's not just about providing a place to lay your head down, but it's to provide the spiritual sustenance, emotional support, a sense of community, a sense of family, and something. The driving force and the philosophy behind what we do is the Rebbe, and what the Rebbe taught us, and how you're supposed to love and care for every single person, and how another person's physical needs is your spiritual work.
Back to what you were saying about spiritual sustenance. So, do you pressure people that come in to fill in?
I don't know if you noticed the architecture, but when you walked into the building, you did not see the entrance to the shul. So it's a beautiful shul, but you had to make a left and another left to get right, and the hallway to get to the shul. And we did that because we really wanted people to understand that we value everybody as a human being, as an individual, and we want everybody to have the spiritual support that they want when they want it.
I give classes to individuals, let's say, who are staying here. I have some women, we have a volunteer group that volunteers at Aishel House, so I give classes to those women. And then a lot of my teaching is informal. So I would say in the kitchen, on the second floor, and we're talking about like really, really very, I wouldn't say basic, but very, very, very fundamental ideas about.
Right. And what's the style of community? I heard that Houston has the largest conservative community in the world. Is that?
They have a very large conservative synagogue.
Okay.
Very large conservative synagogue, which brands itself as the largest conservative synagogue. I mean, if it's in America, it'll be in the world, because conservative is an American brand of Judaism.
And
so you have.
how's the relationship between the communities?
You know, for the most part, I would say Houston has a very congenial kind of relationship with everyone. We tend to get along.
Were they upset when Chabad moved in?
When my father came in 1972, the rabbi of that conservative synagogue was a man by the name of Rabbi Jack Siegel. And Rabbi Jack Siegel invited my father to come and speak to the men's club and to the brotherhood. Rabbi Jack Siegel started a tefillin club. My mother taught in the Hebrew school there. They were very welcoming. I mean, of course, you'll always have the naysayers. Perhaps in the modern Orthodox community was where my parents got more pushback when they came. And they realized that they're actually moving here because they saw that as, we're trying. The people who were in charge then, that synagogue, they saw themselves as being progressive and moving forward. They don't have a mechitza, they're like conservative, but they're not conservative, they're still Orthodox. And suddenly somebody shows up with a beard and a throwback. And you have to remember, this is the 70s, right? A throwback to like old Europe or something. And they're like, excuse me, you can go back home now. So we have 23 apartments upstairs.
Yes.
Okay. Those apartments, we have people who are observant, people who are not observant, people who are not even Jewish. When we have available apartments, we provide it to anybody.
Yeah.
There was this one young woman I remember who got married after they left here. Her father had passed away, and she got married in North Dakota. And I got an invitation to the wedding. And in the invitation, in the bottom of the invitation, it said, in lieu of wedding gifts, please send donations to Aishel House.
Wow.
It was a home for my father.
Here, it sounds like a lot of people here are grateful. Do you ever feel people are ungrateful for what you're doing?
I'll tell you what, the only time sometimes I would say that because a person's going through such hardship, they don't notice what's happening. And I think that really, my husband has that understanding very clearly, and we try to live like that. And if someone yelled at you, they're probably having a really bad day. And it's true about everybody, but here it's just like compounded.
Yeah.
And we just assume that. And by the way, we also say everybody gets sick. Ugly people, happy people, sad people, mean people, forgiving people, all people get sick, right? There's no like, oh, just nice people get sick. No, but so if somebody is not forgiving and that's their nature, and they're sick on top of it, can you imagine how hard it is for them? Like if you're forgiving and you have a challenge, wow. If you're not forgiving, nothing to do with you, it's that person. I probably need to help them more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, I'm sometimes very tired, but I have sometimes literally almost crawled home, put a ball on my back was killing me. Either we were short of help, or there were many more people, or a lot of requests came in. And I remember telling my kids just recently, I said, I am exhausted. I cannot wait to get into my bath, but I couldn't be happier doing this.
Your vision here in
My vision
the
is that
Aishel
this
House.
place flies to Yerushalayim.
Right.
And I feed people who are coming in, and people find that I have like daydreams. My kids know this. I have daydreams that we're in Yerushalayim, and like people are coming in, they need the mikveh, they have to go to Beis HaMikdash, but they're starving, they just came off a plane or whatever, and we're feeding everybody, and I just want a 2-bedroom apartment in the building. I'm not sure my house is going, but if my house is going, I'll take my house, obviously. I'll host even more people, but this is where I'm going. I'm going towards that. And now we're going to go into the 3 weeks, and this whole thing of Chazan Yeshayahu, we have to envision the Geulah. It's not something that, and it's not an escape, but envision, like, for a woman who's carrying many children, you envision the birth, the baby born after, that's what helps you get.
That's it. I don't know if you noticed, but we have Jewish music playing in the lobby the whole time, in the background. That's my little Spotify list. That's what they are.
Why is there a playground?
Kids need a place where to play.
Kids would be here?
Well, kids who are staying here with their parents.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Right? So we'll sometimes have families with kids here.
Whoa, this is beautiful. So I just left the Aishel House now. Really, really, really incredible, the things that they do. Hope this opens your eyes to see the different things that Chabad does. See more about Chabad Houses, the different things that they offer, the different things that they do. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you guys so much for following.